My name is Ellen Rogan, and welcome to Horsesmouth Live. As always, I have great information for you to help you not only in your business, but your life. And today is no exception. Today, we're going to talk about networking. And I know this sounds like an old topic. Most of us who've been in business a while say that we're probably pretty good at networking. But our guest today, Alice Tang, has a different view on it and actually systematizes this. And I love that she takes this topic that maybe we think we all know about and really gives, really up levels this for us. So let me give you a little bit about Alice's background. First of all, I'm thrilled that I've gotten to know Alice over the years. We got introduced by a mutual friend, Nicole Auerbach, and Alice lives in the Portland, Oregon area. And I first got to meet her when I was out there visiting, and she is warm and lovely and so successful in her business, and our paths keep crossing. And I'm thrilled she agreed to be on the show with us today. Alice knows about building networks in a way that I think many people don't. She's, first of all, she is an advisor. She's a vice president and partner at BPG Wealth Management, which is a full service wealth management financial planning firm. And she's a top producing female advisor. And the interesting thing about Alice is she comes to networking. I think many of us think, oh, we've used the networks that we had in our neighborhoods or maybe the people we went to college with. Well, Alice grew up in Hong Kong. She was the first in her family to go to university. She went to the University of London and then ended up moving here and immigrating with her husband, Horace. And so she started as a financial advisor with no network, no business background, really no family connections, and had tried to do it the way that many of us were taught to network. And it was frustrating, and she couldn't figure out how to scale and leverage this. So Alice designed her own system for this, which she teaches the system really across the country and to advisors and other people in business. She loves helping people grow their networks. And so she's here to talk about that with us today. Welcome, Alice.
Thank you for having me, Alan, my wonderful friend.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see you and really excited to have you share this information because it's always intrigued me when you've told me about how you do networking. So you went from, being a very beginning financial advisor with no revenues to a top producing advisor, and you did this a lot through networking. So tell us a bit about how you found this to be a key to your success.
Well, I guess some of the history or the trials that we had made us better. So in the year of 2000, I'm taking you back in history. I walk into a local financial services firm's office. It's my first day in the financial industry. And because I have a network of zero, my manager said, you better cold call. And here is what is going to work. Call 200 people in the morning, qualified 4 people who are willing to receive information from you about our services and products, and schedule 2 people to meet with you in the afternoon or the evening. In a few months, you'll be making some good commission income. Are you with me, Alice? So I took it to my heart. At the end of year 2000, I made $2,000. And then my second year, I made $8,000, a good improvement. And third year, I was at my 30,000. So if you were me having such great trajectory growth, what are you thinking? How can I double my business from 30,000 to 60,000, which is not a lot to ask for average hardworking man or woman? So I thought my manager gave me some idea. He said, focus on your activities and your results would come. So I would like to double my activity from 200 calls a day to 400 calls a day, from 70 hours a week to maybe 140 hours a week. I think I have a game plan in place. Don't you think, Alan? What am I missing? We all have limited amount of hours in a week, 168 hours in a week. That's not going to work. Mathematically, yes, but no. So I was discouraged, disappointed, and very upset that I was kept at a certain level of income and I had to work this hard. But when I lift my head up and look around in my office, there were 40 advisors. And you know, we are in a male dominated industry. The top two advisors, who are both male, very successful, very good, very nice people. Their life, compared to mine, was a night and day. Mine is night, theirs is day. And how it works is they come in the office at around 9, check a few things with their assistants, lead a few appointments. And then what happened? They went to lunch. And then in the afternoon, sometimes they didn't come back to the office. And I heard sometimes it's golf. So I was wondering, what do they know that I don't? So I went ahead and asked for the secret sauce, Alan. And they said, you guess it, referrals, right? But more importantly is stay at the top of mind in front of your referral partners. That one message changed my life. My network is really my secret to success.
Yeah. So, first, I just want to add that a friend of mine in financial services reminded me that we're actually not in a male dominated industry. We're in a predominantly male industry. And I know you know how important words are. They're not dominating us. There's way, way, way more of them than women. Um, and so I'm curious how you switched to that, because what you didn't mention, besides like the time, is the awfulness. I started growing my business back when I first started as a financial advisor through cold calling too, which I hated. It was so awful for me. Now, did it work? Yeah. But I had those clients up until I moved away from my practice, but it was not fun to do. And that was one of the ways I switched into doing speaking and networking as well. But so I'm curious. So, how did you take it from watching these guys in your office golfing and building their network to designing your system? And what are some of the things that were so successful for you, Alice?
As far as relationship is concerned, I'm thinking like this. So you and I have a friendship, but between you and I, actually, we have an invisible account. That account is called emotional bank account. You can't possibly draw on an account that is zero. So the first thing I think about relationship is how can I quickly deposit into that emotional account? So we always have a balance. So in events, I never hope to ask people for help, but we sometimes do. Life happens. Sometimes we ask people to help to secure a contact or refer to somebody or just help me with this. So if we have a emotional bank account, we can just ask rightfully about that. And that is going to lead to the next question. How do we deposit in it? So I say the number one thing to deposit is to listen with your presence. Not don't listen to come back with an answer. I know a better idea. I know I can beat you on this. No, none of those matter. None of those matter. Listen. And then when you make a mistake, lately there is a lot of noise about people making mistakes and not apologizing. When you make a mistake, apologize. And if I have a better idea for you, I will have a closed door and say, hey, look, here is what I observed. Here is what I think that could be better. And I let you take it however you want to take it. And not to announce it in Facebook, you have done something and here's a way to correct it. That's not the right way to do it.
So, when you're talking with someone that you're desiring to build a network with or a relationship with, we had someone on Advisor Radio a few months back, Deborah Poneman, who talks about building relationship capital, which is sounding similar to this emotional account that you have that you want to build, build, build. And then at some point in the future, if you need to make a withdrawal for it with an ask, then it's there for you. Clearly, listening is something that many people think they do well, especially advisors, but don't necessarily either haven't been trained in or think they're good at listening, but maybe aren't as good at listening. So, share a little bit about what you mean by that. Like, how do you really listen and be there for someone? And what are you listening
For
for something in particular as well?
I'll answer it in two ways. The first is because I think the second language really gives me power. And why? Because I don't make assumption that I understand everything. So what I did is whether it's an initial meeting with somebody, potentially being a friend or a referral partner, we don't know, right? As we walk through, or even this is a client meeting, I call it mini conclusions. So let's say the meeting is 30 minutes. You probably want to do 3 times mini conclusions. So up to now, I've heard, Ellen, you have said this and this. I'm going to say it back to you. Oh, so that sounds interesting. And give a chance for the other party who's sitting in front and just tell me about that same thing, a chance to say, you got it, you got it. I throw a ball, you catch it. And then the other thing is at the end of the meeting, usually you notice that, well, maybe Alan is writing a book. Alan's one more speaking opportunity in your world. Just picking on you for a second here. How can I better connect you with people who could support you? If I don't readily have a referral for you to speak, readily for you to have a group that you can coach. Usually I don't, right at that spot. But what is the next best thing I can give you?
You know, that idea of repeating back what you've heard, it first feels a little contrived or uncomfortable. But when you're on the receiving end of that, it feels so good. You get that someone's really listened to you. And I think people are starved for this now. It also, my experiences has me being so much more present because if that's my objective to say, oh, Alice, this is what I heard you say. Do I have it right? I really have to pay
Yes,
attention. I can't be thinking
yes.
about, oh, what am I going to ask her next? Or how do I bring in this product or ask for her? My only objective is to be super present with you. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, that's true. And at the end of each meeting, there are 4 scenarios. Let's try here. So, 4 things could happen. First, Alice feel good about Alice. Alice feel good about Alan. Alan feel good about Alice. Alan feel good about herself. The most important scenario that would happen, in my opinion, to me, is Alan feels good about herself as she walk away from this meeting.
Mhm.
Because these days, I mean, there is a lot going on in our world, but even there isn't, Chinese believe that 9 things out of 10 things are not so pleasant every day. We're looking for the one pleasant thing. If I could, or you could, walk away from meeting with me feeling charged, feeling refreshed, feeling you're respected, you're honored, it's so wonderful. And that is a big deposit into what we call the emotional bank account. As simple
I
as
love that.
listening with intention.
Yes, I love that because if you can make someone feel better about themselves when they're in your presence, they're going to want to be around you more. They're going to talk well of you. And they're not even going to realize that you didn't talk much during that conversation, that you were giving them your full attention. My guess is after people meet with you, Alice, they're like, that was such a great conversation. Even if they talk 95% of the time, they're going to feel like it was a conversation. Is that an experience that you
That's
have?
right. Yes, that's right. That's why researching people we don't know ahead of the game and know a few good questions to ask that help
Mm.
talker like myself to shut up and listen. Because if I can ask a question so that they can, have the podium just to talk.
So, talk more about that, doing research ahead of time. How do you do that? What are some things that you're looking for when you do that?
In general, my go-to research is really LinkedIn because a lot of us are on LinkedIn if you're in the business or the professional world and we're meeting business people or professional all day long. So I go there and take a look at, they also graduated from Portland State University. This person speaks 3 languages or they have interest down there, right? Hobbies, interests. So if there is anything common, we can draw something in common. And people gravitated to common values, common things they do.
What I also love that you didn't explicitly say is when you're in a meeting, if you were in a meeting with me and said, "Oh, Ellen, I saw on LinkedIn that you're on a board of a bank or that you went to Tulane undergrad and, whatever was on my LinkedIn profile," I would be impressed that you took the time to find out about me before we met.
That's right.
And so that
That's
would
right.
also show me that you cared enough to spend time on that.
Yes, yes, yes. I think, well, if you want to say it selfishly, I want to make sure that I prepare at least 3 to 5 questions to
Mm.
ask to help myself to calm down, just focus on listening. If I'm not prepared, I walk into a meeting, people will start bombarding me with questions. So they are in charge of the meeting. The person who
Mm.
speaks the least is in charge of the meeting, believe it or not.
What a great switch on how we normally think about that. That's great. You're really in control. You're in control of the energy of the meeting, on how the other person's thinking, on where you want it to go. Even with your questions, you can kind of, not in a manipulative way, but really guide the conversation um, to the way you want it to go, whether it's building a relationship or eventually talking about what you do. It's really brilliant and being of service for
Yes,
them as well, Alice.
yes,
So I
yes.
know you're great at follow up. Talk to us a little bit about how you have systematized some of your follow up with people and how you schedule things and what you do around that.
What I call the follow up yeah, are touches, but let's back up a second. Um, every beginning of the year, I will have a list of about 10 center of influence or referral partners, however you call them. These are the people who have given me a lot of good things, good gifts last year. It may not be business, but they just think the world of me and try their best to help me. Okay, so I have my list, and then I've figured out in the last 20 years that the touches are very important to these people. So let's define the touch. A touch is an action or a communication that is initiated by me, customized to one of these center of influence. Okay. And the touches could be as simple as just tag somebody in LinkedIn and say, "Hey, great job. You just have a new opportunity to serve a nonprofit organization." To if we just finished a virtual happy hour, snapshot, tag those people, recognize them. They make time for this because we are all talking about this nonprofit. And then also we could connect them with the people they should know. We just talked about it. And how about inviting them to events? You sent me a link this morning saying that anyone can just come on this live stream, share with your network, and I did. So invite them to events that could benefit them. And then finally, probably, sometimes you ran out of things to touch them. Just an email, a telephone call, or a text message saying, "Alan, I'm thinking of you. I hope you're doing well. It has been 3 months we haven't talked." So
I
those are
think
some of the
especially,
things.
yeah, those are great. I think especially now, those little touches are, just thinking about you, hope everything's okay. People I think are feeling a little bit more isolated now, and knowing that you're thinking about them, I think is really important. One of the things I've been playing with lately is if someone comes to mind for whatever reason, I send them an email or a text or maybe pick up the phone, write them a handwritten note. And I'm really trusting that gut, like, oh, I should contact them. There was someone I had met from one of the mutual fund companies years ago, and I saw his name come up on the LinkedIn feed, on my LinkedIn feed. And then his card showed up on my, didn't show up on my desk. I was cleaning off my desk and his card was there. And I just reached out, "Hey, I'm thinking about you," with no agenda, nothing. And it's really a great way to follow up. What I love about your system, where I'm going to learn from this, is being so deliberate about those top 10. So they know you're there for them. They know you're connecting with them. It's really, really brilliant to do it that way. And I
Well,
would
thank you
probably add,
for.
and I would probably add, which I'm guessing you do this sometimes too, is also if periodically writing a handwritten note because
Yes,
people
yes. I'm
never.
obsessive about my handwriting. Whether you like it or not, it's not my problem. I like to send out. So, like for example, this pandemic, I order 100 cards, saying in the front, "I'm thinking of you." At the back, "Let's stay connected, even despite of social distancing." So just a handwritten note, "Alan, I'm thinking of you."
Oh, great. And we never get mail. Like if I get an actual note for someone, I'm like over the moon because either I
You
get
know,
junk
you snap a
or
picture
a
and
bill.
post it in social media.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, one thing, I mean, this is another fun thing you can do, and I think I did this with you. Well, now that we're not at events with people, it's harder to get pictures of each other, but there are websites where you can just order a card. You can take a picture off your phone if you have a picture, like I have old pictures of us together when we've been at meetings, to send a card with our picture on the front. I think it's through Ink Cards, INK Cards is who I do it through. And that's another fun way to be a little bit personal with this.
I totally,
Um,
I kept the card you sent to me after the National Speakers Association. We ran into each other. Remember, we took a picture, and I was in awe that you sent that card. That's the most important thing, right? You're in awe. Deposit in that emotional account. Now, Ellen, two more things about touching the center of influence. The frequency is important.
mm,
The daily touches doesn't work. Alice Tang is a pest. Go away. The annual touches, who are you? I don't remember you, right? Stay at the top of mind. So in the last 20 years, I figure out weekly touches is the best. So the touches we just talked about. And then the other very important touch is that every 90 days, I meet with my top 10 center of influence for 45 minutes to an hour just to catch up on business and personal and making sure that if there is anything within my power, I can help them, I will.
so when you said weekly touches, I remember you telling me about this when we saw each other at the National Speakers Association meeting. Like those centers of influence, each week you're sending them a text, or are these your top clients? Tell me more about like each week, who, how is that touch happening? Is it some of those ideas you gave, or are you actually texting them, or how does that work?
Okay, so the weekly touches, we can choose among the many things. Let's be creative. All I know is giving the referral is the best, so that could be a biggest touch, right? Connecting them with somebody they need to know, perhaps is another service provider. We're talking about referral partners, another referral partner that do not overlap their business, but they have common clientele. Inviting them to events, tagging them at LinkedIn, inviting them to some of the little small group get together, email, call, text messages. So all of
So
those are
how
different variety of touches. So every
how are you
week I would
tracking
pick
this?
one.
Yeah. How do you
Well,
track
I
it?
have, yeah, I have a spreadsheet. It could be an index card, however you want, because it's only 10 people. It's not a lot of people to track, right? So I have columns. Later on in the workbook, you'll see. So every week, I need one in any of these columns. And every month, I need at least 4 touches for all of these important relationships to me. They are my referral partners. They are my center of influence.
How long does that take you to do each week?
Very good question. So you wonder, okay, so did she spend a whole week not writing business but touching people? Well, no. Every Tuesday morning from 9 to 9:30, I book an appointment with myself, looking at the list of 10 people and figuring out, deciding how I'm going to touch them this week. Whether it's a text message to a referral, I will touch them. And 30 minutes in a work week is 1.25% of your work week. If you add the 4 meetings every year, right? 4 hour, 1 hour each time every 90 days, is about 5% of my work year. This 5% of my work year has taken me from the nobody know about Alice Tang network of zero to everybody know about me in Portland.
Yeah, and not just in Portland. I mean, we met through someone from Chicago who was in Portland. So your reach is certainly national, if not international now, Alice. So that's great. You
Yes.
mentioned your workbook, which I just downloaded, and that is available for anyone watching this now. And I encourage you to go to Alice's site and get that. And so if you go to alicetang.com/networking, you can download this beautiful workbook that can walk you through the system that Alice uses. And I think it's really, really fabulous and so deliberate.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
So, what I heard from you today, Alice, is how important it is to truly listen to people as they're talking, to have the goal of hopefully having them feel better about themselves when they're in your presence, that you're making deposits in this emotional bank account. And that you really have systematized, especially, I know you do this with your clients as well. And I suspect you do it beyond that 10 key centers of influence, but you've really systematized this process. Before I let you go, is there any last tip that you want to make sure that people listening today have in their back pocket?
I'm thinking beyond oxygen and water, there are two key necessities that we cannot live without, which is money and relationship. And after 2 to 3 decades in my life mastering both, I say lead with building strong relationship with the most important people in your life. And then you don't really need to worry about money. Stay focused. Don't spread yourself too thin. Everybody have an average 500 connections at LinkedIn. Don't go 500. Think about who are the top 10 or even the top 5. If you're just beginning in the financial industry, who's your top 1 and top 2? And focus your effort. And the system I give is really my last name, Tang, T, target your efforts, A, allocate time, N, nurture the relationship, and G, give generously without thinking about return. And your income and money would come when the relationship is built.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Alice. I'm so grateful for you being here today. I love that there are actionable ideas, tips people can put into place right away. I know when we're off this, I'm going to reach out to someone I haven't talked to in maybe 90 days. So it's time that we actually have a conversation. So thank you. Really, really grateful. And grateful for all of you listening to this, whether you're listening live or listening to the replay, just the audio or the audio and the video. We're glad to have you here. And if you want more information on me, you can go to ellenrogan.com. And if you go to ellenrogan.com/horsesmouth, I have a special report you can download about what clients crave. And there's also all sorts of other great resources that I keep adding there for you as well. And so until next time, the question to ponder is, how big of a positive impact are you willing to make, especially to those relationships that you have? Remember, be great and create great every single